Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian. This is actually going to be the start of a new video series I'm calling Been There, Built That, all about props that I have already made prior to starting this YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff that I've built already that I'd still like to share with you, I think has a fun story, so I'm going to be sharing those piece by piece. And with Borderlands 4 coming out in like 2 weeks, what better way to start than by talking about the Borderlands props that I've made already. And these videos are going to be a little more freeform, somehow even less scripted and less planned than my unscripted and unplanned normal videos. So bear with me if there are any verbal flubs or pacing issues or anything like that. But with that, you've been warned. Thanks for joining me. Let's get into it. So these are the 3 Borderlands props that I have done so far, and they're all from Borderlands 2 because that is my favorite game of the series. And we'll start over here with this Nerf blaster repaint that I did. So this was a Nerf Rivals Chronos at one point that I found on top of an overfull trash can moving out of the dorms sophomore year of college. So I held on to that for a few years, and when I finally got around to wanting to do a Nerf repaint, I figured that this would be a good candidate for one of my favorite legendary pistols in Borderlands 2, which is the Unkempt Herald. Some of you may have recognized this paint scheme as the Unkempt Herald. And it's a great explosive pistol from Torg. Had a lot of fun with that one. And this is actually a little bit more than just a repaint, because you can see that there's a section that I cut out here that would have extended over here to the trigger guard. And I cut that out, one, to better match the shape of the actual in-game gun, but also because the one I found had this underbarrel attachment, so I added a little flashlight to serve as that. And then the one I found also had the tiny scope, so I added a tiny scope. This one is actually from a little cheap plastic pair of binoculars that had these fold-out bottom lenses, so I used one of those as my little scope to better fit the one that I found from Savage Lee in Borderlands 2. And it was a lot of fun. I always wanted to do a Nerf blaster repaint, and I think it went pretty well. The kind of shaky, sloppy paint job is intended. This is kind of how it looks in the game. But you may notice that there's no cell shading, no thick black borders or other marks indicative of the Borderlands art style. And I didn't know if I wanted to do that or not. So I actually did it on the other side, just so that I could see which one I like better and determine which one I would actually want to display. And I don't know which one I like better, to be honest. I think there's good and bad things about both of them. I think it does kind of make it look more sloppy in general, but also more classically Borderlands. So I'm torn. Let me know what you think, which one you like better, the cel-shaded version or the quote-unquote more realistic paint scheme. And either way, they're both kind of sloppy intentionally, but I do think I could do a better job of this type of paint scheme now that I have more experience painting under my belt and a more steady hand. I think I could pull this off a lot better. So if I do make a prop from Borderlands 4, I might try this style again, but who knows? The prop may or may not call for it, but we'll see. And another thing to note is that I put the Torg logo on top, even though I don't think the Torg logo is ever present on the Unkempt Herald. We had this hopper here for adding the ammunition that just felt prime for a logo, so I added it there. And again, that's hand painted and not very well. So if I were to redo this, it would probably be with a vinyl cutter. But I also think I could just do a better job freehanding it now that I have some more experience. So prop number 1, the Nerf blaster repaint of the Unkempt Herald. Prop number 2 is this saw blade. Rather, it is a buzz axe in the game. You may recognize this as one of Krieg's class mods. In fact, this is the legendary Psycho class mod that I was trying to create here. And part of that is because I love Krieg. Krieg is one of my favorite characters in all of Borderlands. I had such a fun time playing as him. And the other reason is that I had a circular saw blade that I needed to reuse. Rather than throw it away, I figured I would turn it into something a little cooler. So it's a dull blade, and currently I would be able to sharpen this blade, but at the time I didn't know how to do that, so I figured why not recycle it into a prop. And it was really as simple as just painting it into the legendary class mod that Krieg can find, and then making the barbed wire, which I just made out of some armature wire, which is just flexible metal wire. I think it might be aluminum, but super easy to mold into the barbed wire shape. And then you saw on the back, I just wrapped it around to hold it in place. And I think it gives a pretty good look for the buzz axe. It is still kind of uncomfortable on the edges. You wouldn't want to hit anybody with this, but I think it's a good prop, nice visual piece, and it's got a good weight to it. The third prop is probably the one that I am most proud of. It is the Infinity pistol that I think you can get from Doc Mercy, another legendary pistol. And the thing about this one is that it just shoots infinitely. It does not have ammo. It does not need to reload. So that's what the Infinity pistol is all about. And it was a great gun, loved having it. And there was a really good model that was put up on my mini factory from Rocket Props. And that's this model. So I downloaded it, printed it out. It was actually one of the first things that I ever 3D printed. And for that, it has a special place in my heart already. But also, it's just an awesome model. Not only is it a really great sculpted model, but Rocket Props also had cavities put on the inside and instructions to put in a motor and make the barrel spin like it does in the game. And that's just a really great touch. I didn't have the motor or the shaft or really any of the materials necessary for the build. So part of the fun of this project was cobbling together something that still worked in the same way, but utilizing stuff that I already had lying around, like an old toothbrush motor for the internal motor instead of the one that was recommended. And I think it came out pretty well, despite the fact that I just kind of cobbled it together. The other part that is really fun about this build was this was the first time that I ever tried using an airbrush. So there are a few sections here on the scope and then right at the tip of the barrel as well, where there's a bit of a gradient, a transition from one color to the next. And that was a lot of fun figuring out how to do that with an airbrush. It was the first time that I ever used an airbrush. And I think I got the paint job pretty close to how it looks in the game. Again, there aren't any of those classic thick black lines on the border or any of the like white scratches that are indicative of the cell shaded paint style. So part of me wishes that I had gone that extra step and do that, but I also just like how this gun looks like you reached into the game and just plucked it out and now it's in the real world. So I really appreciate that. Again, if I were to redo it, I might add that. I think I could do a much better job of it now. But given that I didn't have those skills back then, I think this is a pretty good try at that concept. Especially because I didn't have a vinyl cutter, and I think, while there are some issues with the Infinity signs, I think they look pretty good for freehanding them. So, really happy with this. One other mistake that I would fix is right here, that the trigger is just kind of free floating. So the thing that actually presses the button on the inside is a couple of popsicle sticks glued together and then painted. So I have to use that to press the button, and then sometimes they get stuck, so you have to manually pull it back up. But other than that, I think it was a good attempt at that build. Really cool model, really fun paint job. Love this prop. So there you have it, the props that I have made from the Borderlands series so far. And I did play Borderlands 3 and the pre-sequel. They just didn't grip me in quite the same way that Borderlands 2 did and didn't earn a spot on the big list of projects. That takes something special. But I have high hopes for Borderlands 4. It looks like a really fun game, and I'm really hoping that there's a prop that I'm going to want to make from there. But I'd like to hear your opinion too. Let me know if there's anything you see that you think would make a cool build for this channel. And let me know if I was wrong about Borderlands 3 or the pre-sequel. I am definitely willing to give either of those a second look, and I'm always down to make more Borderlands props. So let me know what you want to see, and I'll see if I can do it. It used to be that I would just make these things for myself and I would share them with a couple of friends and family, but then I started this channel and there are actually people that want to join me in that process, and I am so thankful for that. I just hit 3,000 subscribers on the channel, which is 3% of the way to my goal, and I am not stopping anytime soon. So subscribe to the channel if you are interested in seeing more awesome builds just like these and others. And special thank you to Thomas Computes and Thad Carpenter for being my top supporters. Check out my channel memberships if you have any interest in that at all. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Either way, I really appreciate you being here. I'll see you next time. Those props were pretty good, but imagine what I could make now. Or don't imagine. Click one of these other build videos to find out, and click the circle in the center of the screen to subscribe. Peace.